So as you're ready, no rush at all. You can find a way to a standing position toward the back of your mat. And as you begin, just take a peek down at your feet. Feel that they're right underneath the hips. You can feel your hip bones. And put your hands there. And just see that they're right there. And then when you lift the toes, start to shift your weight side to side, forward and back, so that you can really feel the four corners of your feet. So just shifting the weight on your feet themselves. And then letting the toes be extra support, gripping down to the earth. Putting a small micro bend in the knees and feel your inner thighs draw in and up toward the body. Let your fingertips reach down and palms face out. Let your shoulder blades draw slightly together and down the back as you lift the heart toward the chin and let the chin fall slightly toward the heart. You can let your eyes close if you'd like. And just feeling in this moment yourself really rooted and grounded through your feet, and then the crown of the head lifted and light. So if you close the eyes, feel in your own body, your head right over your heart, right over your hips, over your heels. And just connecting with the breath as you inhale, feel yourself lengthen, feel your spine get longer. And as you exhale, feel yourself settle into this standing position. So we're going to start the class with some more movement just to get some things out. So take your right hand and just start shaking the hand. And you can shake it up and down, side to side, just however feels good. You can change it up. And then let that move into the whole arm. So letting the arm kind of shake it out. And you can close the eyes, maybe just visualizing anything that needs to leave the right arm, leave the right arm. And then if you'd like, you can add the left hand in with it, or just focus on solely the left hand. And just shaking out that hand, shaking out that arm. And then we'll move on to the legs. So you can take your left or your right foot, whatever one you want to start with, and just start shaking out that leg, kicking it. Starting to wake up the body and not thinking about this. Yeah, exactly. Just kicking. However, you can do the whole body now too. So you can move on to the other leg, maybe shake everything at the same time, maybe just jump up and down. You can rock the head. There's 0 rules here, so just whatever needs to shake, let it shake. And then let's do 5 more seconds. Just getting any last little things out. Just releasing it all. And then find a little stillness. So just letting yourself settle. Allow the eyes to close. And just feel all that energy within the body just settling down. As if our body was just a snow globe and we shook it all up, and now the dust is settling. The breath is settling. And now we'll start linking our movement with our breath. So as you inhale now, reach both arms up. Pausing for a moment here. Maybe you wiggle out the wrists, the fingers, and just feeling the ribs staying tucked in and the bottom of the ribs separating from the hips. So getting long in the sides of the body. And then as you exhale, cactus your arms. Bring your palms to face away from you as you bring the shoulder blades together down the back. Opening up the heart. And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, cactus the arms again, palms facing out away from you. Perfect. And then inhale, reach. And exhale, open the heart, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach. Let's do one more. Exhale, Open the heart, cactus the arms, feeling the backs of your hands coming toward each other. And then inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring your right arm forward, left arm back. Doing a standing twist. Both your palms can face your left. And feel your shoulders coming more square to the left, not completely, but keep your hips square to the front. So your hips are going to want to come open too. So feel that counter twist as you bring your hips like headlights square to the front. Perfect. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, other side. Left arm forward, right arm back. Your palms are facing the right. And same thing here, feeling how your hips want to come open and then just bringing them back square. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, other side, right arm forward, left arm back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, left arm forward, right arm back. Let's just do that 2 more times on either side. So you can move with your own breath. Inhale, getting long. Exhale, twisting. Just moving at your own pace. Let's do 1 more round on either side. Moving your body with your breath. And the next time you're back in the center, reach up. Then exhale, just hinge at your hips and we'll dive down to a forward fold. So bend your knees quite generously here. Allow your belly to rest down toward the thighs. Let your head and your neck release. Just let the whole torso ragdoll here. And then shift your weight more toward the balls of the feet. So if you had a piece of paper, you could slide it underneath your heels. Feeling the length in the spine first. And then if you want to get more into the hamstrings, starting to lift your hips a little bit higher. And just letting it go here, letting the breath be strong and deep. Taking big exhales. Let's take 2 more really full and deep exhales right here. You can sigh it out, you can flutter the lips. And then as you inhale, halfway lift. So straighten out the spine, tabletop in the spine. And then exhale, forward fold once again. Now plant your hands down and start to walk your hands forward in a cat-like motion, moving from the shoulders, coming into a downward facing dog. So you can bring the hands about shoulder distance, so you can look at your shoulder, see the line that your hands are right in line with the shoulders, and let your pointers point directly forward in front of you. So your pinkies are slightly out. And then root down in the knuckle of your pointer finger the most, and then also in the base of your thumb and the base of your pinky, the heel of your hand, and the tips of every finger. So your palms are slightly lifted, your fingers are slightly lifted. Just rooting down in the knuckles and the tips. And then your feet are hips width distance, so your gaze can come between the feet. And you can bend the knees as much as you need to here, just lifting the hips as high as you can. The goal of down dog is to lengthen the spine. So you can micro bend in the elbows, roll the triceps in and up toward the ears. Feel the weight pretty evenly distributed between the 4 points touching the floor, both feet and both hands. Maybe finding movement if that feels good. You can bend each knee, look under each armpit. Or maybe you just find stillness. Two more breaths here. And then slowly start to put a bend in your knees. And as you shift your shoulders over your wrists and let your knees come down to the mat. Landing in a tabletop position. So your shoulders are over the wrists, your hips are over the knees. And when you look back between the legs, make sure your toes are hidden behind the thighs so that they stay in line with the knees. Same action in rooting down in the hands, and then also rooting down in the tops of your feet and your shins. So feeling how that activates your core. And then as you inhale, drop your belly down, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone to a cow pose. Micro bend in the elbows, heart coming forward and through. And exhale, pull it back to your cat pose. Tuck the chin, tuck the navel, lift the back of the heart, pull the belly up to the spine. And then inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to your cat pose. So just keep moving through these cat-cows with your own breath. And feel free to close the eyes. Really feel into your own spine. And you can let the goal of this be to just get some fluid moving around your spinal cord. So you can wag the tail, look back toward either hip. You can take circles with the shoulders or the hips. Just not worrying at all about what this looks like, only tuning into what it feels like. So you can allow the body to move by itself. And just a few more breaths moving, however feels good. And then when you feel ready, no rush if you want to stay with this movement. You can find your way back to a neutral tabletop, so a flat spine. And then just leave your hips right over the knees, walk the hands forward and melt the heart down, coming into puppy pose. You can bring your forehead or the chin to the mat or block. But wherever you are, stay rooted down in your forearms and in your hands. So you're not dumping too much weight into the shoulders. You're actively drawing your shoulder blades together down the back with each exhale, and actively surrendering in the heart with each exhale. Breathing into the back of the heart, the space between the shoulder blades. Let's take 3 really full exhales here. One more. And then start to pull the navel up to the spine and walk your hands back up underneath your shoulders slowly. And then when you arrive, turn onto the backs of your hands and your fingertips are pointing toward your thighs. It's going to stretch out the wrists pretty nicely here. So the palms are facing toward you, the fingers are facing toward or pointing toward the thighs, and then just start to rock your hips back a little bit. So getting this really nice stretch down your forearms. Breathing into the forearms, moving only as much as your body allows, not forcing this too much. It should feel good. If this doesn't feel good, then just skip it or ease off a little bit. And then you can bring the palms of your hands back down to the ground, but keep the fingers pointing toward your thighs. So getting a nice stretch now down your forearm. And try to keep the heels of your hands rooted down. So if you start to shift back and the heels come up, just bring them back down and move only as far as the heels of your hands allow. So the eyes of your elbows are pointing forward. Awesome. This should also feel really good. It might be a little bit intense, but ultimately feels good. A few more breaths here. And then leaving the palms on the ground, now bring your fingers to face each other. So the fingertips are almost touching, they're kind of like this on the floor. Wrists are under the shoulders, and now rock side to side. A similar stretch, just a little bit less intense. And then we'll turn onto the backs of the hands here. So keeping the fingers pointing toward each other, just on the backs of the hands. So the palms are facing toward your face. And then same thing, just gently rocking side to side. You can keep the shoulders over your wrists, just really small movements here. Awesome. And then you can bring the hands back to center, so just however is natural. Pointers facing forward, palms of the hands on the ground. And then tuck your toes under. Lift your hips back and up, coming into a downward facing dog. So maybe walking the hands forward a little bit if that feels better. Just letting it go. And then from here, bend your knees, look up toward the top of your mat, and start to walk your feet up to meet your hands. Landing in a halfway lift as you inhale, so flat spine. And exhale to your forward fold. Releasing here, taking 2 deep exhales. Just ragdolling in the body. And then next inhale, slowly start to roll your body up to stand. And you can reach both arms out and up at the top. And exhale, the hands come to heart center. So you can pause for a moment here, just with the hands at heart center, checking in. Maybe reminding yourself why you showed up for practice today. Any goals you might have, any intentions you'd like to set. Feel your heartbeat. And then next inhale, raise both arms up. And exhale, dive forward, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Now leave your right foot exactly where it is. And now step your left foot back to warrior 2 legs. So the back foot comes parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then inhale the arms up to your warrior 2. So for your alignment with the feet, your front heel can either intersecting your back arch or completely in line with your back heel. You can try out both and see what feels best. And then your right hip feels like it's tucking under. Your right knee coming more toward the pinky side of the foot. Your arms reach from the heart center. Tuck your belly in, tuck your ribs in. Tailbone reaches straight down. Crown of the head reaches straight up. Shoulder blades come together and down the back as the hands reach further away, lengthening the arms from the heart. The gaze can be soft over the front fingertips or the eyes can be closed. Breathing here. And then next inhale, just start to reach into the ground with your front foot, slowly straightening out that leg as you bring both arms up above you. And then exhale, settle back in, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten and reach. Exhale, settle back. So I encourage you to close your eyes. We're just going to keep moving like this a few more times. And really move slower than you want to move and feel like you're moving through water. So if the eyes are closed, just kind of picturing the water moving around the fingertips, feeling that resistance, and feeling the power of your warrior 2 each time you settle into it. And then let's do one more. So reaching, and then exhaling back. And then straighten out the leg again, reach both arms up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Start to step your back foot in just a little bit. We're setting up for triangle pose. So bring the arms back out, warrior 2 arms. Shift your hips back as you reach your right arm forward as much as you possibly can. And then when you can't reach forward anymore, let your right fingertips reach toward the ground and the left fingertips reach up toward the ceiling. So keep everything about your pelvic area and your low belly really strong. So you're not bending over. You want to keep your side bodies long. You want to keep every limb as long as possible. So you can do this just by tightening up the core a little bit. And then put a slight bend in your front leg. Bring the arms back up to center. Breathe here. And then exhale, cartwheel your arms down to frame your front foot. Pop up to the back toes. Step back to a plank position. And if you'd like to move through a flow here, you can slowly bring yourself down to your belly. Inhale, lift your heart, baby cobra. Exhale, release. Now start to push the ground away from you, keeping your elbows in really tight to the ribs. And lift the belly, come up through your tabletop, tuck your toes and lift your hips, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Few breaths here. Maybe feeling a difference in the hips or in the sides of the body before we even out. And then as you're ready, bend the knees, look up, and step up to a halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands down, and now step your right foot back to warrior two legs. So the right foot comes parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then cartwheel your arms up, warrior two on the other side. So left foot forward, right foot back. And a helpful thing here to find some balance is to lift the toes. When you lift the toes, you can really feel if the four corners of your feet are active. And if you feel like something isn't actively pushing into the floor, you can shorten your stance, you can adjust how you're standing to get your feet to be firm on the mat. So the arms reaching from your heart again, and the left hip now feeling like it's tucking under, that knee reaching toward the outside edge of your front foot. Gaze over the left fingertips where the eyes are closed. Breathing. Settling in. And then we'll fly our warrior on this side. So slowly straightening out the front leg, reach both arms up, and exhale back. So you know where you're going. You can do this a few times on this side. And moving as fast or as slow as you want to move. But I encourage you to move a little bit slower than you might want to at first, just so that you can really feel every point of this posture as it changes. So feeling the muscles of your leg strengthening as you straighten out the leg. Feeling the shoulder blades moving as you move the arms. Just tuning into every little part about this movement. And let's do one more. And then we can come back, straighten out the leg, reach both arms up, inhale, and exhale. Arms come out to warrior two arms, maybe stepping your back foot in a little bit, maybe not, whatever feels best. And then just shifting your hips back. You can even bring the hands to the hips if you want to feel what that feels like. And then reaching forward with your left arm as far as you possibly can. And then allowing those fingertips to reach toward the ground, right fingertips to reach up. Triangle pose on the other side. So this whole area, feel your pelvic floor pull up toward the navel. You want to keep this really tight. And you want to keep the sides of your body really long. Breathing, feeling the arms equal length. Keeping the neck long as well. And then rebend your front leg, bring the arms back up to center, inhale. And exhale, cartwheel your arms down, frame your front foot, lift the back heel, and step back to a plank. If you want to do what we did before, you're welcome to do so. Lower knees and chest and chin to the ground. Inhale to lift your heart, baby cobra, slight back bend. Exhale and release. Now being tight in the belly, push the ground away from you, tuck the toes, and lift the hips, downward facing dog. Big exhales here. Maybe fluttering the lips. Maybe sighing it out. Releasing anything that just built up within you. And then from here, bend your knees, look up between the hands, and step your feet up to meet your hands. Land in a halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, reaching up. And exhale, hands come to heart center. So pausing once again here for a moment. Feeling your own heartbeat. Feeling the breath moving through the body, maybe a little stronger. Next inhale, raise both arms up. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, release. Plant the hands down, step your feet back to a plank position. If you want to move through a flow, you're welcome to do so. If not, we can just meet in a down dog. So lowering to whatever distance from the mat you'd like and lifting the heart, baby back bend, and then coming back up through tabletop to your down dog. So those flows are always optional. We won't be doing too many more. It's just if you want to make the practice a little bit more invigorating. Take 2 full exhales here. Let it go. Lift your hips really high. Feel the weight evenly distributed between the 4 points touching the floor. And then bend the knees, look up and step up, meeting the hands in a halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale and fold. Now plant the hands down, leave your right foot where it is and step your left foot back, warrior 2 legs once again, and inhale the arms up, warrior 2. So maybe adjusting your stance as you need to. We've been here already, so feeling maybe a little bit more power, maybe a little more confidence in this pose the second time around. And lifting the toes, really feeling how that activates the feet, and then let the toes grip back down. Start to straighten out your front leg and bring your toes to face the corners of your mat. So your heels are in, your toes are slightly out. Bring your hands to heart center as you sink the hips down, coming into a goddess squat. So feeling that really straight line from your tailbone through the crown of the head, feeling the side bodies lengthening, feeling the knees right over the ankles. So you can imagine that there's strings on the outside edge of your knees and they're pulling you back. If this is really difficult, you can always bring the hands for a little support on the thighs. But feeling both hips opening up, beautiful. And then let's all bring our hands to the insides of the knees. Exhale as you drop your right shoulder down and look over your left. Inhale to center. Exhale, other side. Drop the left shoulder down, look over the right. Inhale to center. And you can do that on your own a few more times. If you really like this, you can do it as much as you want or linger wherever feels best. And then just starting to come back to center when you're ready. And you can reach into the ground with both feet, letting that action straighten out the legs when you're ready. And then bring your feet now parallel to each other. Hands come to the hips. As you inhale, lift your heart. And then exhale, hinge at your hips, wide-legged forward fold. So we've been in a similar position already. You can release the arms, let them just dangle to the ground. And once again, try to shift your weight more toward the balls of the feet. So you could slide that piece of paper underneath the heels. Micro bend in the knees, just so that the legs aren't hyperextending. Feeling this in the backs of the inner thighs, maybe in the spine more. Wherever you are, just letting your whole torso be heavy. And if this is really tough, if this doesn't feel good for you, you can always bring something for support underneath the hands, like a block, a pillow. You can also widen your stance. That makes it a little bit easier. And if you want to come a little deeper, you can shorten the stance. Wherever you are is perfect. Let's take 3 deep exhales. We're not going for speed, going for deepness. One more full breath. And then when you're ready, really slowly, you can start to walk your hands up your legs, bringing yourself back up to stand. And pause for a moment here. Maybe bring a hand to the belly and a hand to the heart, and just allow the blood to settle back in. Allow your vision to return to you if it's left. And then as you're ready, you can pivot your foot back to face the front of your mat. Bring the hands down, frame your front foot. Lift the back heel and step back to a plank or right to a down dog if you'd like. Moving through a flow if you want to. And if not, just meeting in a down dog, no worries. Taking a few big exhales in your down dog whenever you arrive. And then as you're ready, bend the knees and look up and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands down. Now step your right foot back to warrior 2 legs. And we'll inhale, rise up, warrior 2. So second time on this side of your warrior 2. So feeling that left hip opening up, maybe a little bit stronger right away. Beautiful. Feel the tailbone reaching straight down as the crown of the head reaches straight up. Heart expanding. And then slowly start to straighten out your front leg. Bring your toes once again to face the corners of your mat, heels pointing in, toes pointing out. Hands can come back to heart center. And drop the hips down back into your goddess squat, second round. So really just imagining a string on your tailbone, pulling the tailbone closer to the floor. And that same string is running through the length of your spine, pulling the crown of your head straight up. Beautiful. And then strings on the backs of the knees, pulling them open a little bit more. Breathing. This feels extra intense, breathing a little extra. And then you can bring the hands back to the knees, take those shoulder stretches again. So exhaling, right shoulder down, look over the left, inhaling the center, and then the other side. And you can spend as much time on either side as your body wants to spend. No rush throughout any of this. And then whenever you feel ready, you can come back to center and slowly straighten out the legs. Bring the feet parallel to each other once again. And this time, optional shoulder stretch. So if you want to interlace the hands, bring them behind your sit bones and pull the fists toward the ground, letting the heart open up toward the ceiling. And then exhale as you hinge at the hips, leading with your heart, come down to your wide leg forward fold. And you can let the fists sort of drag you more forward, letting the heels of your hands reach toward each other. If this is not possible, if that feels awful, You can grab opposite elbows. You can bring the hands, backs of the hands behind the sacrum, letting the shoulders surrender, or just release the arms all together. These are all just options. Trusting whatever feels good, whatever your first instinct was. And if this feels really good in the shoulder, option to rotate the shoulders. So bringing your fists more toward the right as you open the heart more toward the left. And then back to center, bringing the fists toward the left, opening the heart to the right. Just another option. Don't feel the need to do anything that I'm telling you. And whenever you'd like, you can release the arms. Maybe finding a little stillness. The hands can rest on the ankles if that feels good. They can reach back between the legs, the palms of the hands on the ground, if that feels good. And maybe just finding that stillness. Shifting the weight toward the balls of the feet if it's come back at all. Just recentering, keeping that micro bend in the knees, lifting the hips as high as you can. Awesome. Let's take 3 more full exhales. See what else you can let go of. And then as you're ready, really slowly coming back up to a standing position. So you can walk the hands up the legs if you like that, or find another way that works for you. And just once again, pausing at the top. You can bring a hand to the belly, a hand to the heart, if that feels good. Letting everything settle. And as you're ready, pivoting back to face the front of your mat. Bringing the hands down to frame your front foot, lifting the back heel, and stepping back to your down dog or to a plank and moving through a flow if you'd like. We'll all meet in a downward facing dog when you're ready. You can sigh it out. Maybe flutter the lips. When we can hear our own exhales like this, when they're loud, it communicates to our entire body that it's time to relax. So not being shy with the breath, just really exaggerating it can be really helpful to release. And then slowly start to bend your knees and shift your shoulders to come over the wrists, coming back to your tabletop. Untuck the toes, sit the hips down on the heels, coming into child's pose. So if you'd like this stretch to be more about your spine, then bring your toes together and your knees together. You can find more length by reaching the arms forward, stack the hands under the forehead, or bring the arms back behind you, whatever feels best. And if you want this stretch to be focused more on the hips, you can leave the toes together and bring your knees as wide as your mat. So, as always, trusting your instincts, trusting your practice, the way your body wants to move. No need to overthink this. Just let yourself settle. Maybe rock your forehead side to side, massaging the forehead against your hands or the mat. A few more moments here, just in the stillness. And again, no rush. If you want to stay here, you're welcome to stay here. But if you feel ready, you can slowly start to come up to a seat on your heels. Bringing the knees together if they were separated. And letting yourself settle here for a moment. And then shift your hips off to the right as you bring both your hands over to the left. So getting a nice little stretch down the back, right side of the body. And then walking your hands over to the right side of the legs, shifting the hips off to the left. Getting that opposite stretch. You can do that a few times if you like that, just bringing the hands and the hips to opposite sides of the heels and the thighs. And the next time you're on your left side, you can let this sit bones sit down, bring the legs out long in front of you, coming to your seat. And centering yourself on your mat if you were a little bit off. Shake out the legs. And now, similar to kind of how we started the practice, we're just going to do some tapping to bring more blood flow to the surface level. So you can take your fingertips and just start on the collarbones. Always option to close the eyes. And start tapping along the collarbones and the shoulders and the chest. And permission right away to go where is calling you. So letting yourself tap across the face, across the scalp, anywhere on the body. So moving gradually. Noticing how it feels on each point that you're tapping on. And when you get to the bigger parts of the body, like the arms and the belly and the back and the legs, then you can use your whole hand. But just like on the head and the gentle areas, just using the fingertips. It doesn't have to be a crazy thing. And tapping out the feet, tapping out the legs, maybe making a little rhythm with it. And shake out the legs at the same time. And just giving yourself this permission to move how you want to move. Maybe you don't want to move. Maybe you just want stillness. So trusting that, that's always an option. And then when you feel complete, you can just find some stillness, settle a little bit. And then we're just going to self-massage the legs a little bit. So you can bring your thumbs to your hip crease right here, and then your hands or your other fingers wrap around the hip and just squeeze this area. And start to gradually move that squeezing down the thighs, down the legs. Just giving the legs some love. You do so much work for us. And squeeze out the calves, the backs of the calves, the ankles, and the feet. And then when you feel complete with that, you're going to bring the sole of your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. And bring your shoulders to be square with your hips. So you're not folding over the left hamstring yet. You're just going to be folding straight forward. So you're getting deep into the inside of your left leg. Maybe walking the hands forward, leading with the heart. Or option to surrender. So if you just want to curl the spine, let the head relax and release, you can do that as well. And take 5 deep breaths here. So see what else you can release throughout those breaths. Letting your goal be to release one more thing with each exhale, whether that is a mental thing or a physical thing. And one more breath. And then from here, you can stay folded and just walk your hands to either side of your left leg. So feeling that shifting as you walk the hands over, maybe adjusting your hips a little bit, but feeling the shoulders square your left leg completely. So it's a frame over the left hamstring. An option to lead with the heart, hinge at the hips if that feels better, or option to surrender. And just let the torso curl and release. Three more exhales. And then starting to walk your hands back up toward the hips, bringing yourself up to an upright seated position. And we'll just switch legs. So you can extend your right leg, bring the sole of your left foot to the inside of the right thigh. And we're first going to fold forward. So bringing the shoulders in line with the hips, facing forward so you're on the inside of your right leg, and then hinging there. We're feeling a nice stretch down the inner part of the right leg and hamstring. And you can notice right away if this side feels a lot different than the other side. Noticing if your sit bones are lifting up at all, and then rooting the sit bones back down, maybe pushing back in the hands slightly. And taking 3 more deep exhales. And then start to walk the hands over to the right leg, the shoulders framing the right hamstring, maybe adjusting the hips slightly if you need to. And noticing which one of your sides feels tighter or looser than the other. Knowing our right side is our yang energy, our masculine side, our fire, and the left side is our yin energy, our more receiving side, cooler energy. Noticing what you need to balance out. Maybe slowing down a little bit if your right side is a lot looser. And maybe adding some more movement into your life if your left side is a lot looser. And it's common for men to have more yang in them and women to have more yin. So slowly start to walk the hands back up toward the hips. You can extend both legs long and just shake them out for a moment. And hug the knees in toward the chest and just curl into the tightest little ball you can curl into. So tuck the chin toward the chest, pull the pelvic floor toward the navel, curl the heart back, just making a circle with the body. And then releasing, that squeezing whenever you're ready. And you can bring the hands to the backs of the thighs and slowly lower yourself down to lay on your back. When you arrive, you can hug the knees into the chest and just feel the entire low back come flat against the mat. Maybe just resting in the stillness, letting the back melt into the mat, or you can gently rock side to side, feeling the weight shifting across the spine and the back. And then from here, keep your right knee hugged into the chest and extend your left leg long, letting it rest on the mat. You can bring your left hand on top of your left hip just to root that hip down a little bit more. And then turn the sole of your foot to face up toward the ceiling and bring your knee closer to your right armpit, starting to open up your right hip. You can grab anything that's available here. So you can grab the back of the thigh, pulling the knee closer to the armpit and the sole of the foot reaching toward the ceiling. Or you can grab the big toes with your peace fingers or the outside of your foot. If you're grabbing the foot in any way, plug your right shoulder back into its socket. So bring your shoulder blade to the ground, letting that action bring your hip a little bit more open. So this is a reverse lizard pose, or a half happy baby. If you've practiced lizard with me before, you'll see that this is the same exact position of the legs and of the body, just a different change in gravity. This is always an option if you want to practice lizard, but it's feeling too intense. Take a few more breaths here. Taking the foot into the hand and pulling the hand back into the foot. And then you can release the foot, grab hold of the back of the thigh as you bring the knee back in line with the hip. And then just straighten out your right leg. We're gonna get a nice hamstring stretch here. You might be down here. And wherever you are, just make sure you're feeling this in the right hamstring. So maybe pulling it in closer toward you, maybe walking the hands up the legs. If you are walking the hands up the legs, just plugging the shoulders back into place. Plugging the shoulders back to the mat. And then start to walk your hands down your leg and slowly lower your leg to the mat. Pause for a moment here. Just really feel the difference in the hips. Then we will even out. So you can hug your left knee into the chest. Just feeling the difference in the sides so far. Bringing the right hand to the right hip. And then bringing the sole of your left foot to point up toward the ceiling as you bring your left knee closer to your left armpit. And same thing over here. So you can grab anything that's available. You can grab the thigh, the ankle, the foot, the toes. Just making sure both shoulders stay rooted down and both hips stay rooted down. Breathing into the left hip crease. You feel a nice stretch down the right psoas as well, down the front of the right leg. So again, you can notice if this side feels a lot different. Let's take 3 more exhales here. See how close your knee can come to the floor. And then begin to guide your leg back in line with your hip. So knee coming over the torso. And then just straighten out your left leg. Getting a hamstring stretch on this side. So maybe just staying here, or if you want to come a little bit deeper, you can walk the hands toward the foot. And if you are doing that, just keeping your shoulders, the shoulders might lift, but then plugging them back down to the mat. And that will stretch you out even deeper. Not forcing anything. Allowing yourself to be at your natural limit and finding your breath, finding some peace there. And as you're ready, once you feel even, you can start to walk the hands up the leg and slowly lower your left leg to meet your right. Maybe feeling the hips and the hamstrings a little bit more even. Pausing in this stillness for just a few moments. And when you're ready, you can bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the ground and as wide as your mat. Start to windshield wiper your knees back and forth. And moving slower than you think is slow. So really feeling the weight shifting across your glutes, massaging out the glutes. You can move one knee at a time. Maybe that feels better. And as always, I encourage you to close the eyes and just try to tune into the glutes. Tune into maybe any areas of knots or any little kinks you might find. And then next time both of your knees are dropped off to your right, just leave them here. Feel this internal rotation in your left hip and external rotation in the right. And then bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh, closer to the knee. So deepening this a little bit more. So your legs are staying exactly in the same position. You're just sliding that ankle on top of the knee. So getting deeper into the internal rotation of your left hip. And then you can slide your ankle off of the thigh, bring the knees back up to center, and just let them fall to the left. Pausing here. Feeling your right hip internally rotate. And then same thing on this side. So you can bring the right ankle on top of your left ankle on top of the right thigh, closer to the knee. Just deepening this. If that feels good. If you do that and that feels awful right away, then just don't do that. Should feel pretty good. Just a few more moments here. And then just release your left ankle from the right leg. Bring the knees back up to center. And then just let both of your knees knock in toward each other. So your feet are still as wide as the mat. Your knees are just resting in on each other. And feel your low back come flat against the earth. As you're ready, hug the knees into the chest. And then extend both of your legs up to the ceiling, to the sky. And just shake them out. Release every sense of holding in the legs. And just allow them to find some stillness eventually. No rush. Letting them rest in your hip sockets. And then reach both arms to do the same thing, releasing any sense of holding in the arms and just allow them to be weightless in the shoulder sockets. As if your four limbs were just wading in water, letting them feel detached from the body. Feeling the four corners of your torso, both shoulders and both hips, be pinned against the mat by the weight of your limbs and gravity. Feeling the blood rushing away from the hands and the feet. Hands and feet probably growing a little bit tingly, a little bit warm with this change in blood flow, just letting that happen. And then as you're ready, just bending the knees, coming into your happy baby. So both knees are coming toward the ground on either side, closer to the armpits, soles of the feet reaching toward the ceiling, and bringing the hips and the shoulders back down to your mat. Maybe finding some movement if that feels good. Straightening out each leg. Then just permission to channel your inner happy baby and move however you want to move. Or be as still as you want to be still. When you feel ready, let the soles of the feet find each other. Slowly lower the outside edges of your feet to find the mat beneath the hips. You can roll the sit bones back. You can roll the shoulders under the spine, palms facing up by your sides. Your reclined bound ankle pose. Supta Baddha Konasana. And permission to stay in this pose as long as you'd like. If this feels really good, you're welcome to let this be your Shavasana. And if you want to straighten out the legs, you come into your final Shavasana. You may do so whenever you're ready. Releasing any sense of holding throughout the body, letting the feet fall where they naturally fall. And letting yourself rest here just for a few moments. This won't be a super long Shavasana, but if you want this to be, you're welcome to lay as long as you'd like. Release any sense of holding in the forehead and the eyebrows. Let your forehead expand and soften. Let your jaw hang heavy. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Let your throat rest on the back of the neck as the shoulder blades root closer to the mat. Feel the collarbones expand and broaden. You start to tune into your heart. Feel the unique rhythm of your own heartbeat. Feeling it pumping blood throughout your entire body. Just shining some awareness on the bodily processes that happen every moment of every day without our doing. Giving the heart some credit for keeping you alive. Feel the length and the weight of your arms heavy into your mat. You feel that slight pulsing sensation in the palms of each of your hands. Feel the pulsing of each of your fingers. Both hands pulsing. Let your ribs soften. Let the belly release. And feel that pulsing that exists in the belly as well. Feeling the heartbeat in the belly. Letting the lower belly and the pelvic floor soften and release any tension. Let your glutes release. And allow all the muscles of your legs to just roll off of the bones. No need to hold anything up right now. Let yourself be supported by the ground beneath you. Feel the soles of your feet and each of your 10 toes pulsing as well. Feel the very tip of your head, the crown of your head, and the pulsing that exists there. Just resting in this total body awareness for a few more moments. Just letting yourself be. Like I said, if you want to stay here longer, feel free to do so. You can turn off the meeting and just rest here. But if you're ready to come out of this, you can let my voice guide you. So first, noticing how slow your breath has become. And then beginning to call air back into the body, consciously deepening the breath. Feel yourself energizing with each inhale, filling up from your toes to the tip of your head. All corners of the body being energized as you breathe in. And then begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Maybe roll out the ankles and the wrists. Maybe rocking the head side to side, massaging the back of the skull. And you can reach both arms up over your head and take a nice morning stretch. Maybe letting out a really big yawn if that comes. And then hugging your knees into the chest as you're ready. And making your way to a fetal position on one side. Pausing for a moment in this first position we've ever been in this fetal position. And then just leaving your eyes closed for now. As you're ready, you can push your top hand into the ground and find your way back up to your seat. Just meeting with hands at heart center when you arrive. And first things first, fully and deeply thanking yourself for your practice today. Know that this practice has made a difference. It has meant something. And may this continue to heal you throughout the rest of your day. May the benefits continue to soak into you. And may you bring some of this love and light to everyone in your own lives. Namaste.